Hello Mudlarking Friends. As you can see, I am not down on the foreshore today, but fear not, there will be artifacts, there will be history, and I'm here to meet Mok. He should be here any second. We're doing a very special Christmas Secret Santa episode for you. So, in fact, out of the corner of my eye, here he is.
Hello!
How are you
Happy
doing?
Christmas!
Happy Christmas.
Lovely to see you. Where? Well, I know where I am, but why have you brought me here?
Right, well, we said it was going to be a Secret Santa, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm a bit scared.
Okay,
yeah.
You know I'm your Santa,
Right.
but the location is the secret. So here's a clue. Clue number one, the bright lights, well, not very bright at the moment, but the bright lights of Westminster, wealth, religion,
Yeah, okay,
high
loads
church,
of money,
loads of money, aristocrats. Okay, that's clue number one. Now, you've got your Santa hat on.
I am feeling Christmassy.
Oh, it's very nice. Now, I did say I'm not much of a Santa hat person, but I have prepared something for you. I thought in for a penny, in for a pound.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Tell me when.
Here I am.
Oh, gorgeous! Oh my God, look
Too
at you.
much? Too much?
Never too
Never too much. Hey, but listen, here's another clue. I can't wear this for where we're going right now.
Okay, careful with the thing of beauty.
I've got another hat for you.
Okay.
It's another clue.
Okay, what is this? Too many clues in one go. Oh,
Yeah, it's too many clues in one go.
Hello.
Let's say this is all part of clue one.
okay, you look like Oliver Twist.
Very, very
Really?
good. Dickensian, I'm feeling it. Could be a costermonger, baker boy, any of those things.
Definitely, like, right, all right.
Right,
I'm getting married in the morning.
And a bit ill, a bit
all right.
pleurisy. A bit,
Okay,
you've got
I
it.
love it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Next
Right, should we
clue.
walk like this as we go? Like,
We can skip along if we like. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's your second clue.
Right.
It's a bit of a toughie actually. Here it is.
The sanctuary.
The sanctuary, indeed. And I love this little chap coming out the top here. So the
Okay.
relevance of this is that in the 11th century, Edward the Confessor, who lies in Westminster Abbey,
Just behind us
just
here.
behind us, he decreed that this area here was a sanctuary for anyone who needed it.
Wow.
There were some exceptions, which we won't go into because there's
Right.
a number of exceptions. But so from this sanctuary, there was a tenement built in the medieval times. So that's another clue.
Okay.
So noblemen and women, I think, could claim sanctuary within the walls.
Just here. This was a place
This
of
building wasn't
refuge.
here, but this area was a place of refuge. And against the walls were just where the commoners and the normal people had their sanctuary, and they put up tenements. So it's kind of a couple of clues in there for you. A
Okay, I'm still
sanctuary.
not making any sense.
I mean,
Sanctuary,
it's a bit,
tenements, Edward the
tenement,
Confessor.
sanctuary.
Your
Yeah,
hat.
my hat, my little urchin-like
Which I love, the
Dickensian kind of hat.
Okay.
That might help a little
Okay,
bit.
we've got 11th century and Victorian. I'm still a little bit lost.
There's one theme running through all of this. And okay, another clue. We've got the bright lights from behind us. Not only Westminster and then going up to the West End, but we've got Westminster Abbey, all lit up. And there is one saying, from the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. So there, we've got another clue.
Are we going into the heart of darkness?
We might well be. I think some people thought that. So we're going that way.
Lead on.
Let's head off. I'm
and
trying not to
protect me.
shiver. It's so cold.
There you
Let's
go.
go. Here we are. This is your third and final clue. We're actually very close to where we're going to end up.
Okay, where are we? Where are we?
What do you notice about this here?
Okay, so
There's a clue there.
there's a Peabody Trust.
Peabody Trust.
8 and a name. Oh, 8 old pie.
Old
P-Y-E.
Yeah.
Not as an eat a pie, crusted
Not Eat
pie.
Pie. Pie, Robert Pye, he was one of Cromwell's cronies back in the day.
Okay,
So where we
pie.
are, and then here there's another plaque.
Oh God, yeah, I can see that just above the light.
Okay, the 1 ton ragged school. Ragged schools, do you know much about them?
It's your
what
hat.
kind of area?
Yeah, okay, I get it. Kind of vagabondy type thing.
Ragged school.
Dickens.
So what it is, this here, these are Peabody houses now.
Right, so it's just social
area,
housing.
This is social housing, but this area used to be a notorious slum known as the Devil's Acre.
Oh, wow.
Now this here, so the slum, mid-1850s, like really reached, mid-1800s, so 1850 really reached its peak.
Okay.
Dickens came down here, he was writing about the place. Gustave Doré on his London travels was coming to these slums, illustrating them, doing engravings of them. So this was a place of high illness, poverty. So under the bright lights of Westminster, you've got the darkest shadow here, which was this notorious slum. Now, in around 1870, I think it was, there were some efforts made to kind of raise the area up.
Very good Victorian behaviour.
Very good Victorian behaviour. Loved a cause, those Victorians. So Adeline Cooper, who was a philanthropist, she was tasked with creating a ragged school here. So they were free education, they had classes for blind children, they had classes for kind of like...
What does ragged mean? Because I've heard of the play The Ragged Trousers Philanthropist.
Yeah,
what
Robert
does
Trussell.
ragged mean?
Ragged is, I guess, it's what you're wearing, wearing your hat,
Okay.
being kind of unclean and like you're ragged, you're not for the...
It's not very politically correct as a term, really, I'd imagine those days. Wow, so they had a missionary here, a school here for poor, unfortunate, ragged children.
Exactly, and we're actually on this site, and we're going to go into this site, round the corner in a minute, to the Thorney Island Society. So yeah, this site was the ragged school. It actually relocated here from a pub called the One Ton, the notorious One Ton of
school
Devil's
in a pub.
Acre.
I love it. It gets better.
It was a school for pickpockets. So you'd go in and learn your trade in there. Again, get your hand out of mine. That's what this is, right? So yeah. Anyway, the long and the short of it is this. Eventually, it wasn't really cleaned up. It wasn't helped that greatly because Peabody, the American, came in, built these houses, they cleared the slum, but they didn't really clear it, they just displaced people.
Okay. So but it's still social housing today. It's still social, a working class area in what is now very smart Westminster, very expensive, very fancy, near the House of Parliament, House of Commons, you've got Westminster Abbey.
On the
Victoria,
flip side,
it's pretty rich.
So now this is my secret Santa to you. I brought you to what was once the most notorious slum, and in fact it was the first time the word slum was used to describe a slum as we think of it today. Cardinal Wiseman, he was the first Archbishop of Westminster. He wrote about this. People were appalled with this place basically. So in their efforts to clean it, they just moved everyone along.
I've never been given a slum for Christmas, but I'm open to all sorts.
I
Thanks
give the
very
best
much.
gifts. You're welcome. Let's go.
Let's go and have a look.
Just round here, to the back of the building of the Ragged School, this is where we're going to. We're going to go meet my friend Vic. So let's give it a knock and we'll see if Vic's there.
Okay.
You guys.
Hello, you're early.
Hello, I am always early. Hello, Vic. I've got my hat on for a reason.
Nice and Merry Christmas.
This is Mok. Oh, and we've got an unexpected guest. There we go. Hi, Vic. Thank you for meeting us here today at the Society. All right, well, we're going to get stuck into some artefacts and have a bit of a chat.
They're over there.
Perfect. All right, Mok. Well, here we are. Thank you, Vic, for letting us in today and letting us look at these items. This is Vic Keegan, historian and author, and also you're the archive guy, the archive person at the Thorney Island Society, which is
it's
where
pretty
we are.
amazing place. I mean,
it is an amazing
I think
place.
I said earlier on, I felt like I've walked into Harry Potter's study. It's just incredible.
Yeah, so tucked away, but right in the middle of Westminster, really.
And no one's ever heard of the Thorney Island Society, even though it was formed by the junction of the Thames and the Tyburn River. The Thorney Island Society was once shown around the House of Parliament to the Speaker's private residence, and the official guide at the House of Commons came up to me in the middle of it and said, "Excuse me, but where exactly is Thorney Island?" It's the official guide.
Because I thought it might be somewhere in Essex.
This is Thorney Island,
there is one
where we are.
To the north and there's one to the south as well. But there's only one real Thorney Island.
We're in the real one. We're in the real one. We're real today.
So just to explain what Thorney Island is briefly, it was, so the Tyburn, one of London's lost rivers, bifurcated is the term, I think.
Good word.
Split into two. So the Tyburn came down, starting in Hampstead Heath, on Hampstead Heath, I think.
Yeah.
So like kind of where the Fleet is, came down the hill, split into two and formed an island before it joined the Thames. So this area here, which incorporates Westminster Abbey, Westminster School, House of Parliament.
The old Palace of Westminster remnants are still there. We argue it's the densest concentration of history. Anyway, it's just a few acres and you've got all this.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. And it's so funny how few people have heard of it. So there you go, check it out.
They have now.
So they have
Absolutely.
now. So another reason we're stopping off in here, I want to show you a few artefacts. Which
I love your artefacts. Well, all laid out beautifully. It should be on Christmas red though. It should be a Christmas red background. That's missing
a trick
there.
Here. We've got your hat in
yeah,
shot.
Got my hat in shot.
These aren't my artefacts actually. These are the Thorney Island Society's artefacts.
Oh, wonderful.
So these have come from various places in this area, some offshoot streets from around here, and I've got one really special thing to show you in a minute. So we're going to look at the more humble stuff, but even within the humble, there's some really lovely stuff. So I wanted to pick out things that would illustrate sort of everyday life in this area, which, as we've said, was once a slum. Prior to that, it was fairly well-to-do area.
Yes, and a bit of both for much of the time as well.
A bit of both at the time.
Yeah.
So,
do you know what time in history people actually started to sort of live here as permanent residences? So what type of, passage of time are we looking at?
It goes back to, Saxon times and earlier the Roman remains as well, but probably when the Abbey was under Edward the Confessor's Abbey, that's when people started coming there because they need lots of people to clean, to do everything else.
Okay, so auxiliary staff would live nearby.
And so there were lots of there were slum tenants right up against the Abbey. You just built your own house,
Wow.
That
like juxtaposition again of rich and poor has really always been in this area.
So the enduring culture of this area up until the kind of 1990 turn of the century was that there was a slum or a kind of a slum in this area.
Yeah, it's arguably one of the worst slums in the whole of London. A lot of places sort of claim this because this was both the degradation of the worst kind and also criminality. There's a story told by the local priest that 40 police were repelled from going into in here, and you can see why, because there are a lot of narrow alleys, and so it wasn't easy for them to get down.
I love that story.
It was really, really bad. And then the Peabody Estates and William Gibbs started building these houses, which were fantastic.
Social housing.
Social housing meant that you had to have your own house, your own flat, whatever, but it meant that all the people who were living 12 to a room were dispossessed. Not all of those got into the Peabody Estates because you had to earn a certain amount of money because they had to pay rent.
So it was for the poor, but not for the very poor.
That's right.
And that presumably then changed the nature of the community as well. That close-knit community, while some of them remained in more sanitary conditions, that whole society that was able to repel the outsiders, whether they're police or otherwise, kind of started to change.
They do. Yeah, they had to go there. They moved down south of the river, or they stayed around and slept rough and all the rest.
And these are their artefacts. These are the things that tell their history. It's fascinating
got diverted again. So the things I've selected. So everyday items. We've got some redware here, and that is the handle, probably from a skillet. Some large cooking pot, and this dates from like 1500 to 1800. Redware was,
ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous, yeah. It was everywhere, and you've got a little glaze on it there. But yeah, that's a cooking pot handle. And here, a bit earlier, you've got some white Surrey whiteware with this green glaze. It's also known as Tudor glaze, or Tudor green. And again, this is just kind of like everyday cooking.
Would that,
this looks like a jug handle, actually.
This is coloured. Well, this is kind of keeping the original colour. This has been decorated. Would that been for a fancier home, do you think?
Not
or a bit
so
more
much.
upmarket,
So what it is, they're just two different types of clay. And this is a red clay, and this is a buff clay. So that explains the colour.
That hasn't been painted or dyed?
It hasn't been painted. It's got a glaze on it.
Okay.
So the green comes from the glaze.
Oh, I see.
And
I thought it was more decorative and therefore a bit more smart home, you know?
Well, it is. It is decorative. I mean, it could be.
It is decorative, isn't it? That feels a bit more industrial, isn't it?
Yeah. They used to just kind of splash the glaze on. You know, they weren't. They haven't covered the whole thing. It's not like that's an incredible design. It's just kind of limited use of a glaze they had. And here again, that's the foot, probably from a tripod pipkin, which you'd use to cook your meal in. Right. So there'd be 3 little feet there, and it would stand up. It doesn't go directly in the fire. It's kind of on something next to the fire that you're cooking, but it has got some sitting there, so you can see it's been used. So these are just how, you know, households would have these.
What I love about these sorts of things and the stuff that you find when you're out doing your mudlarking adventures is you find the history of ordinary people, because history tends to record, you know, the great men or the great women, rarely, but some of the great women of history as well. This is our history, isn't it? This is our ancestors would have cooked on something like that and not been very grand in Westminster Abbey. That's why I love this.
And also, you know, this accounts for not only the way that we were living, how we cooked our meals, the homes we had, but someone made this, so it was their occupation, it was their craft, you know, so it kind of covers lots of home living, craft making, industry, you know. So
I'm wondering if there would be. Were there areas you'd go to, or would it be like a cottage industry here? Would you go to Nell's 4 doors down, perhaps, and she would be the person that made you the skillet?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they had pot houses which made ceramics. Along the Thames, there were some that, So, but it's all kind of pretty homogenous. Like people, the way that we see trends nowadays, this always used to blow my mind. The way we have trends on packaging or types of packaging, they had then. So, you know, with kind of materials that were available, but styles of things. People were replicating, copying designs, so it's not, you know, it's like almost branding.
Even when you were that poor, you wanted to keep up with the Joneses and be in fashion.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you can get a short story out of these tiny little things that
really
pass by on the Thames without noticing.
Yeah, and the images they conjure up, you know, sitting around a fire, cooking something on your skillet, or there's so we're hopping around in dates here. This is earlier, these are a bit later. We've got some pipes. We always love a pipe.
We all love a pipe.
So I selected these. I mean, there's a great number of artefacts in the collection. I've just picked out a few. But these pipes, so this is 17th century pipe, tiny there, you see. But so there's one end of the scale. Here, we're coming up to the 19th, 20th century with this decorated pipe. And the reason I picked a more modern one is because of this area and the people who lived here, and just round the corner, is it on Perkins Rent, round the corner, there was a really infamous pub, the One Ton. And I just have got this image of, you know, men and women maybe in there smoking their pipes and plotting
talking their shenanigans, deciding how they're going to repel the police officers.
Well, exactly. I mean, Vic, what was it? Was it the school for pickpockets, or?
Yes, it was. It was. Some think it's the origin of Oliver Twist, but there are other places that also claim that.
They do.
But Dickens was very much involved around here, and it was. I think 40% of the people there were schooled to pickpockets. There's nothing else to do.
So it's like you know, you just go and learn your trade there and become a better pickpocket.
But it was a trade because you had no other way of making money. I mean, that was the thing.
Absolutely.
You were literally on the streets often.
That's right. And if you went into the local prison, the big prison nearby, had a huge reoffending rate. Not because it was a bad prison, it was a good prison. People wanted to get back in there.
Yeah, right.
Oh, really? Because they get warm meal and somewhere to sleep. And
I mean, it happens today, doesn't it? It happens today.
Is there anything interesting in the size? They're different. Did they just make more tobacco in the later times?
The tobacco became more affordable.
Right, I wonder what that was.
Is the simple answer. It was more affordable.
They would have been longer, though, wouldn't they? Because they're quite small.
Yeah. So these would have been much longer. Actually, some of these, like later ones, that's probably 18th century. These later ones, you can get cutty pipes, so short pipe. So they can be like that. But these older ones were often kind of like this in length. You had church warden pipes, which are those very fine, and then they kind of had a bow in the stem. So yeah, they would have been longer than this. These aren't complete.
There's something quite theatrical and sort of cerebral about sitting there with your pint.
Yeah, with your
and your whatever your watered down beer was at the local one-ton pub.
Yeah, exactly.
How old is this small one?
This one is 17th century. There's one that's even smaller than this, which I think from memory dates 1580 to 1620. I think this one is maybe 1620 to 1660 maybe. I might have to check this out again, but yeah, 17th century. You can see the way it's sticking out there. That's how it's easy for me to date. But there's another one that is just like a fingernail size. So,
and they give you a real, I don't know about you, but I'm getting loads of visual images in my head.
Yeah.
The smaller ones, maybe there's some young pickpocket that's standing on the corner waiting for one of his one of his potential victims to come along with his little pipe. That's a pipe for a 12-year-old, and then he goes and sees the Fagin-type characters smoking that. But whether that's true or not, that's why these things are so wonderful. The images, they spark in your head.
And you're still finding these on the foreshore?
Yeah, we still find them now on the foreshore. Yeah, regularly.
It's amazing, hundreds of years later.
Yeah, it's much more common to find little bits of pipe and little broken bowls, but we still find them. I'm tending to find older ones at the moment, and someone, I can't remember who it is, had a theory that maybe all the more modern pictorial, armorial ones, the ones with decoration, have gone. I don't think that's true, but it would make sense that they're closer to the top.
Yeah. Because when we met on the foreshore a couple of months ago, we saw one from Victoria's coronation. They created one that was almost like a royal souvenir pipe, which you can't imagine doing now. But
it's one of my
favourites.
I love it. But right.
Check that out on your YouTube page.
Check it out on my Instagram.
On your Instagram.
And YouTube. And everything.
And TikTok.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic TikTok.
Thank you. You always do good at this. So the next thing I'm going to show you is this. It's a tin glazed Delft ware tile. Now, I thought this was an English tile, and I thought it's got serious age to it, but actually when you turn it over, it does have a Made in Holland stamp on it, which is but it has got some age. This is probably Victorian,
right?
And this came from a house on Marsham Street, 31 Marsham Street, and it was a fireplace surround. So Victorian fireplaces, they had a big revival for this tin glaze stuff, and you often see pictures of these tiles all around, huge fireplace tiles. You get rooms full of the tin glaze stuff. It was a Victorian revival thing, but that's lovely.
Absolutely beautiful, the details. So a little bird.
Do we know what bird it is?
No. I haven't sent it to you actually, we did, a very clever chap, Mark Soden, I think it was Mark, he sent me a very similar tile from a book, I think it's London Delftware, something like that.
She's pecking at an egg or something, or pecking at
a flower.
It's a flower,
yeah. I think
she's pecking at a flower.
Yes, I love that one.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
And then, so the last from this tray before we go on to the
big reveal.
The big reveal is this little cup. Now, it's pewter. I'm pretty sure it's pewter. It would have had, there's one handle there, but it would have had another handle here. I spoke to Simon Finds and Mike Cuffs, he's another mudlark, both mudlarks, about this, because I wasn't too sure. I figured it was a toy, a child's toy. They made 18th century, there were lots of child's toy-sized versions of things we have. Now, whether that was for a house, a doll's house kind of thing, or just as a little set, pewter toys. I thought teapot, because it's got a spot, or a coffee pot.
That, yeah.
Actually, Simon and Mike both agree that it's possibly a caudal cup. Caudal cup. So caudal was an infusion given to women and to children to toast the birth of the child they just had. And I've read 3 conflicting accounts. I've read that it's beer or wine with spices, warmed, a bit like a mulled wine kind of thing. But I also read somewhere that it's milk. There's a milk caudal, but anyway.
There might be the different kind of midwives had their own recipes.
Exactly. So, and this is a miniature representation of a large caudal cup, which you drink from. It would have 2 handles, and then you drink.
So would that have been used, or is it just a model?
I don't know is the answer. I think it's a toy.
Yeah, right.
But who could say maybe the child did use it? There are a number of similar ones online that you can check out. They're silver, beautifully engraved. There are ones with beading, gadrooning, which that kind of piping. I know, I love that word.
That's a great word.
Love to get that word
Two
in.
good words already.
Should one leave that as it is, or
I think it could do with a bit of a restoration. I'm going to speak to Si, not so much like the misshapen bits, but on it here, there's this kind of white, use that white, it looks almost like little mould flecks, and I think that is pest, which will eventually, they call it lead pest, I think, and it eventually eats away.
Yeah. Eats lead, wow.
Yeah, and there's nothing I think you can do to cure it completely, but you can... I'll look into it. We'll see. Yeah, that'd be really good to say that. But so yeah, I imagine that was just someone's, cherished possession, and maybe it wasn't a well-to-do family. Maybe it was like a family that was once well-to-do and they fell in hard times and lived here, because all these artefacts come from around
or,
here.
let's be honest, this was a den of iniquity. It was stolen from a wealthy family and transported here.
Go.
That's what I think is more likely.
You know what?
Look what I got you today, lovely. I stole this from Mrs. McGee.
You have to do it with my baker kettle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Look what I've been getting laid.
Hey, get to Fagin.
Yeah, I'm so green. I did not think it might have been stolen. I just thought,
the wicked ways of the gay aristo here, I'm afraid.
There we go. I need that influence, otherwise I'd be, I can't be so green about these things. Okay, so we're going to slide this out of the way. I'm going to slide my little hat out of the way, and I'm going to bring something really exciting in.
I can't tell you, my lips are sealed.
Ooh,
lips are sealed. Okay,
excited.
I'm just there it is on the front there. So
I
I'm
haven't
just
got
going to
my
There we go. There we are. So this in here, there are two things in here, and it has to be handled with special gloves.
Oh gosh, okay.
So we are being conservator friendly.
Okay, this is high-grade history you're getting
High-grade
here.
history,
High-grade
baby.
history, wow.
So this is, I'm not actually sure where this was found. Do you know? I mean, this is in the collection.
Yeah, it was found in the collection, and Sue, our chairman, said we've got to do something about this.
Right, okay.
But there's no record or provenance of how it came in, or...?
No, I don't. I haven't found that out yet. I mean, maybe with further because I'm working with the society to find out more about the artefacts. With a bit of investigation, maybe we can find out where exactly it came from.
Oh my goodness!
It's exquisite. So this has been restored, and I've got the what's been done to it, the process, and there's so many things been done to it. As in, so delicately and finely. It hasn't changed so much from what it was, but it's just been really meticulously restored. So this is a very well-to-do lady's 18th century purse, which was for documents, and that is why you see here there's a key.
Oh, yes.
Look at this tiny key. And here
it's quite exquisite, isn't it?
I can touch it because I've got these gloves on. Ooh.
So there's a little lock for the key.
It's a lockable.
Little bow at the top.
Yeah, and I love this insignia here. They look like torches.
Would that be a
flaming heart?
Flaming heart.
Potentially Catholic influence.
Definitely, there's definitely something sort of flaming heart, sacred heart. Blessed sacrament heart. It's wonderful.
It's so beautiful. So
what documents would the lady have kept in here?
Funny you should ask.
All right.
It's funny you should ask. So, okay, I'm just going to pop this here. So this is Georgian, I think from memory, about 1770. I'll double check that and put the info up on the screen in case I've got it wrong. But yeah, so meticulously embroidered and on the back here. Wow. And then I'm just going to lift this key up. It's very hard.
The idea that this little key is protection against somebody
just steal it and cut it up.
But right? It is all about the theatre of that as well.
Oh, it is, yeah. And so the key, I'm not going to actually do it because I don't know, but the key would have gone in there. Oh my goodness, I thought I got it stuck on. And yeah, so, and then the whole thing would have folded up.
Wow.
So, documents, Georgian period. Moving swiftly on to the Victorian period. Queen Victoria. Let's see if I can...
She of the coronation pipe.
She of the coronation pipe. You are reading my mind here.
There'll be a link somewhere on this video to that.
Oh yeah, to that, definitely. But no, your psychic powers are wonderful.
Oh my goodness, the coronation.
The coronation. So this invite to Queen Victoria's coronation, which I think was 1839. Pop it up on the screen.
Long time ago.
You got the right century.
1839, I think it was. Yeah, so admit Lady Gerard.
Lady Gerard.
So Lady Gerard's purse, maybe.
Right.
This coronation invite was found in the purse here, and you can see how it's been folded.
It would fit. Yeah, so a very important document. Very important document.
So when this purse was found, this coronation invitation was inside to Lady Gerard. So more info on Lady Gerard coming soon. Oh, look at me struggling here. Right. Let's just leave it at that.
The coronation of Her Most Serene Majesty. So it's sacred. Sacred, because of course, you know, there is the notion that the monarch is chosen by God.
Next to God,
absolutely.
Exactly. So
sacred.
Yeah. And so where was she sitting? Upper choir gallery, north side.
So she wasn't front row.
No.
She wasn't front row.
That will give her status, won't it?
It would give her status, I think. Although she wasn't front row.
She wasn't front row. She's away with you, Lady Gerard. No. Only the first two rows will I speak to.
Oh, I guess. But they're not really like the stalls, are they? They're a bit better.
But that's just incredible.
Norfolk Earl Marshal.
So that would be the invitation, isn't it? That would be who would invite on behalf of her Sacred Majesty.
Right. So
and I think the Duke of Norfolk still, at Arundel Castle, are still responsible and will be organising the coronation of King Charles III. So that family, who are Catholics, which is interesting, are organising the coronation of our new king.
That's really interesting. So possibly Catholic purse. I mean, I'm. This is all supposition, but we'll do some more. I'll do some more research on this and find out what we can. And I think we've actually got some photos coming at a later date of the restoration. So if anyone's interested in seeing how it was restored, I think I can do a little video on that later on. But yes.
I love the Victorian sort of organisation. You're going to the north door.
Yeah.
You know, this is where you are here. And I can imagine some sort of, whether it was an equerry that wrote sort of, or whether that's Lady Gerard, just to remind herself where she was sitting.
Oh, yeah, could be.
I love that. Or,
oh no, it could be. That's true. Although, well, we'll find out.
And it's interesting. It's not Lord and Lady Gerard. So what's going? What happened to the husband?
Maybe they had a ticket each. Maybe they had
a ticket each. But she would be second to her husband. Yeah. So maybe she's just a grand lady whose husband no longer is with us, or something like that. That would be interesting to find out all about her.
My goodness me. Well, let's see if we can follow this trail on and see what else we can turn up with this.
Good. He may have been another part of the abbey. They may have separated. We don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. He may have been nearer the front.
Oh, you're very, very right in that. Yeah. So they are again. So to highlight the point, we've got the wealth, royalty, riches, religion, possibly, and then we've got the more kind of everyday, I suppose, living shoulder to shoulder-ish.
And again, what's interesting is, though, that is one class of society's everyday.
Yeah.
And for Lady Gerard, mixing with the Queen, having fine purses, that's their everyday. They're just different everyday lives, aren't they? Yeah. But what's interesting, here in Thorney Island, they're all mixed in together.
They're all mixed in, yeah. All right, well, I think that kind of concludes our artefacts look.
Fantastic.
And thank you very much, Vic, for letting us in.
Thank you very much for coming and telling us about things we didn't know about. We didn't know anything about those there. Well, this we knew a bit about, but not about those artefacts.
Ever welcome. Well, we'll find out some more. And actually what would be really good is, as I was saying before, cross-referencing some of the artefacts you've got with what's in your paper files, and which there are loads of, listed by street.
Yeah.
So we'll see, because there's a really interesting thing about the 31 Marsham Street, something to do with suffragettes. And I know that there was a pub on Marsham Street as well that was a suffragettes meeting place. So that needs to be looked into.
They were fascinating because, again, they straddled all class of society, all different backgrounds, all focused on one goal. We did a video on them, and they're absolutely fascinating. So I'd love to hear more about that.
We'll find out more. All right, well, There you go.
Super.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.